People of God, how y'all doing? You doing all right? Good. I'm glad. It's so good to be here. It's a Monday afternoon, and we're here. There's so much going on at the time of this recording. We are voting, and it is the most consequential time of our lives. We seem like we've seen this before, but every time we think we've seen it before, we ain't seen this one here before. All right, and then there's Donnie Swaggart, who made a mistake. Well, he did it on purpose. And he made some statements that really rubbed the black community. I think even those people down there in Wakanda forever was like, you know what? We got to send the man down here and figure this out because it's crazy. It's see you in 60.
Good, you good. You good. Don't stop it.
Bass.
It's the show that will get you thinking, and where the topics are hot. Feel free to comment whether we agree or not, 'cause he's got something to say.
Sirwalterj. Sirwalterj.
He's got something to say. Sirwalterj.
Report live 7 days a week, always on time, but this time is not free. Sirwalterj, always on fleek. Latest trending topics, had you jumping out your seat.
He's got something to say.
Come on in. The water's fine.
Hello, everybody. Sirwalterj Show. What I say? Hello, somebody. Yeah, Sirwalterj Show. It is midday connection, baby. Come on in, water's fine. Something climbed up in my nose and settled in there. There's an estate settlement that went up in there, and I couldn't talk, and I don't know what's going on. It's kind of dry back here too. I don't know what's going on. Y'all doing all right? It's good to see y'all. Darlene, Nicole, Sam, Monkey Moves, April, Maria, Rogers, Layla. Hey, how y'all is? Y'all doing good? Listen, I don't want to be long because I'm hungry. And I want to see if I can talk about this whole, this is a spin. Let's go back, Nadine, and watch some videos of times past. Cassie, if Donnie Swaggart was Obama's pastor, for those of you who are living under a rock, Donnie D. Swaggart, his daddy is Jimmy. And we know Jimmy, the crying man. Donnie, over the past week, made a statement that caused division. Well, didn't cause it. It just showed us how divided we were. This one white man showed us how divided we've always been. And both the responses that came from all over the country by pastors and elders and bishops and apostles and prophets against this man's speech. Really, it shouldn't be surprising that this is how he, his father, and that whole generation has been. They have always been that way. And then Donald Trump ran in 2016, and he showed America what was already in those white evangelicals and what was already in black churches, Pentecostal or Baptist or Catholic or Lutheran, whatever your denomination is. It was always there. And God is in heaven stirring up the pot. Oh, God is in the detail. You better believe it. And whoever wins the election is a judgment towards you, the nation. I say a lot of things. I've been saying this stuff for years, and people who are new to the show don't know I say certain things, and they'll go in the comment section and say something and say, see, you don't know this. And my debunkers will be like, fool, he said this. He's been saying this for 10 years. You're just new to the show. You don't know. You think he is voting for Kamala because he may be speaking more so against Donald Trump. But you see, Kamala's administration, if she wins, is going to be the same. You ain't going to feel much with her administration. You're going to feel that you're back with Obama or Biden, maybe even Clinton. Ain't much going to change. The Democratic policies are basically the same. They're going to make a lot of promises and give you some things that will benefit you. Unfortunately, some of you will still remain in a state of sucking on the tits of the government. If the Republican win, like a Bush or a Reagan or a Trump, you're going to see the same Republican policies. You all are going to march in the streets. You all are going to push back on them. You're going to benefit from many of them, trust me. But Trump is doing and saying things we've never heard before. He's saying some Hitler-esque things, Mussolini-esque things. He's saying Putinist things, Kim Jong-unist things. And he's saying fascists things and doing them. And the people are heralding him the same way they herald Hitler and Mussolini. So it is gripping us, we content creators. And so when we speak more about Donald Trump, you think it is a hurrah, hurrah for the Democratic Party and Kamala. No, they are just the same. They still going to kill babies. They still going to, rescue these laws that may loosen the effects of homosexuality, getting married, and transgenders getting to your bathrooms. So they're going to replace the books that some of the southern states tried to get rid of and ban from the libraries and the schools and burn, what have you. They're going to do all these things, all right? Wash, rinse, and repeat. But right now, what we're seeing today in the rhetoric from Trump and the conservative right is what our grandfathers saw during the time of World War II. You understand? And so if your grandfather was still alive and he saw what was going on in today's politics, he would say, wait a minute, I remember this. Let's look at this. There was a rally in the Madison Square Garden yesterday, and it was a replay of 1939-ish, somewhere around there, when the Nazis did the same thing at Madison Square Garden. All right, let's see.
Donald Trump's rally at Madison Square Garden comes days after his own former chief of staff went on record to describe his former boss as a fascist. But that jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the garden for a so-called pro-America rally. A rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported, quote, instantly, a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct. Now, against that backdrop of history, Donald Trump, the man who has threatened to use the military against opponents he calls enemies from within, who has threatened to use the troops to quell what he says are lawless cities, and to use those troops to carry out mass deportations of immigrants, is once again turning Madison Square Garden into a staging ground for extremism. Joining me now, Ruth Ben-Ghiat, history professor at New York University and author of Strong Men, Mussolini to the Present. And Ann Applebaum, Pulitzer Prize-winning historian, staff writer at The Atlantic, and author of Autocracy, Inc.
Great book.
The Dictators Who Want to Run the World.
Y'all got to get that book.
I cannot wait to have this conversation with both of you. And Ruth, thank you both very much for being here. Ruth, since you are not at the table, let me start with you and just talk to us about the parallels that we're seeing between 1939, that rally at Madison Square Garden, and the rally we're seeing right now at Madison Square Garden, and the rhetoric that's already coming out of this rally.
Yeah, of course, this is not a casual choice to have it there. And although Donald Trump objects strenuously to people comparing him to Hitler, he is the one who has gone out of his way to use Nazi rhetoric, talking about polluting our blood, calling people vermin, even releasing a campaign ad that says he's going to create a unified Reich in America. And of course, as General Kelly said, complaining that, generals should be obeying him like Hitler's generals obeyed the Fuhrer.
A unified Reich. These are Trump's words. He's obsessed with Reichs. And yes, Monkey Moves, they were the stormtroopers. I know y'all look at Star Wars as now stormtroopers started. That's what they borrowed it from. The stormtroopers were the men who were part of Hitler's military. Third Reich. First Reich was the Roman Empire. The Second Reich was Germany during the First War, and then the Third Reich is supposed to be the last Reich in which Hitler, it was really was a play on words in a sense. It wasn't supposed to be called that, but he called it that, and they just went with it. Okay, so that right there is something that our grandfathers seen, and it is something that I only read about or saw it in a lot of these World War II black and white films on the History Channel, and it's coming back to roost. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then there was a comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe or something like that, speaks at a Trump rally. All right. Keep in mind that these are white evangelicals, those who call themselves believers and Christians in that audience. All right. Christians. Christian nationalism, which is Donnie Swaggart, is pushing this. His father and all these other white evangelicals that you may see on TBN and Word Network and all the other stations pushing this. Paula White, David Jeremiah, the Van Impe's, and Rod Parsley, and it goes on and on. And that crazy one with the funny eyes. What's his name? They all probably was at the rally too, laughing at this mess right here. Now this is Tony.
And that is where the other candidate worked.
I want y'all to listen to his jokes. Okay? I'm a man who likes jokes until it gets too vulgar for me, and I can't do it.
Decades, and it's absolutely wild to see. And in Texas,
Kenneth Copeland, yeah, thank you. Daystar, yeah.
Stuff is really, really crazy. We're right there by a wide open border. Where are my proud Latinos at tonight? You guys see what I mean? It's wide open. There's so many of them. It's absolutely incredible. Believe it or not, people, I welcome migrants to the United States of America with open arms. And by open arms, I mean like this. It's wild. And these Latinos, they love making babies too. Just know that. They do. They do. There's no pulling out. They don't do that. They come inside, just like they did to our country. Republicans are the party with a good sense of humor. Free speech is under its...
And they laughed at it. They found that was... And there are Hispanics in that room. And it goes on. I'm going to go to 340. Okay.
Times. It really, really is. And, you know... There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay. All right. Okay. We're getting there. Now, again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. This isn't exactly a perfect comedy setup. There's some people here. All right. Very good.
And, it continues, and let me tell y'all something, man. This is a Trump rally, and it fit right in.
Pity party. O.J. Simpson. Feels good in here. The other side's got a lot of crazy endorsements. Swift, Eminem, Leo DiCaprio, Beyonce. Every day the Democratic Party looks more and more like a P. Diddy party. Oh, okay. Okay, that's what you guys want. All right, heck yeah, it's a cool black guy with a thing on his head. What the hell is that, a lampshade? Look at this guy. Oh my goodness. Wow. I'm just kidding, that's one of my buddies. He had a Halloween party last night. We had fun, we carved watermelons together. It was awesome. You guys are, this is a groany little morning crowd, huh? It's
Yeah. Blacks and watermelon, they loved it. And let's see, last but certainly not
when it comes to Israel and Palestine, we're all thinking the same thing. Settle your stuff already. Best out of 3. Rock, paper, scissors. You know the Palestinians are going to throw rock every time. But you also know the Jews have a hard time throwing that paper. You know what I'm saying? All right, we're having fun now. We're cooking.
That was a Trump rally, and it was so bad that the Trump camp decided to distance themselves from it, and they were like, listen, the views of this guy doesn't represent Donald Trump's views. You invited him. You invited him because he is known to be a shock comedian. He's known for that. You invited him. Now you're pulling back because you said, well, we didn't vet him. We didn't know what he was going to say. He is at the right rally. He fit right in. That's why the audience went wild. They loved it. Loved it. So my question is, what would have Obama said that if Donnie Swaggart was his pastor? And one of the things that I have noticed is the progression of where politics have come, meaning what you can say in private, what you can say in, in the boys' room or what have you, now can be said openly. Mm-hmm. You can say openly. Juan Pedro says, Senora Jones, what about you are making sexual jokes on your live? When do I do that? And your people laugh, especially the women stopped it already. Those jokes already. I can't understand any of the rest of this stuff. What jokes have I made? Sexual jokes have I made? Sir Juan? The vulgarity is absolutely amazing, but they love it. Former Sinner says, I like that name, that title. How many will sit and watch that comedian and laugh? Probably most of us, if not all of us. That right there is not true. There was a black man who I went to go see, paid a ticket to go see him here in Chicago. What is his name? Y'all know him. He had a TV show in the 1990s. Very vulgar guy. I didn't realize how vulgar he was because on his show, he wasn't vulgar. He wasn't. So it was like Eddie Murphy when he did his stand-up. The parents brought the kids, and they thought Eddie Murphy was going to do Gumby. Y'all remember Delirious, or was the other one? So I went to go see that show, and that man got up there, and the things he said about Christianity and Jesus and God and the nasty jokes. Not Bernie Mac. He got this. Oh man. I see his face. Eddie, thank you, Lakeitha. Eddie Griffin. And for the first time, I got up. My friends were with me, and I got up and I walked out, and they followed behind me because I was so uncomfortable sitting there that I said, "There's no way." And then there was. I looked over and there was TV cameras pointing at us, at the audience, and I said, "There's no way I'm gonna be caught in this place. Listen to this mess." And I walked out. So, former, that is not true. There's a whole lot of us still got some decency in us. So let's go back to Barack Obama. And let's look at the whole thing with Reverend Jeremiah Wright. Jeremiah Wright said something about God damned America. Remember that? And here was the news piece many years ago. All right. I was going to join Jeremiah Wright's church. It's not far from here. I can throw a stone and hit out his window. He's long retired and he's wheelchair bound basically. But here is his defense on it. Here's a little news piece of about 2 minutes.
The angels in heaven were singing, God!
The controversy started with words spoken by the Reverend Jeremiah Wright in his sermons. In one of them, he blames America for a long history of military policies that he says caused the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks.
We bombed Hiroshima, we bombed Nagasaki, and we nuked far more than the thousands in New York and the Pentagon, and we never batted an eye.
Most Americans would not normally have heard about these sermons without Reverend Wright's connection to Democratic presidential candidate Barack Obama. Wright is the retired pastor of Trinity United Church of Christ, where Obama is a member. Obama has called Wright his spiritual mentor and the man who brought him to Christ. But once the fiery pulpit remarks were made public in March and widely disseminated on the internet, Obama condemned them. In a speech, he called Wright's view of the U.S. profoundly distorted. Reverend Wright commented on that Monday.
Politicians say what they say and do what they do based on electability, based on sound bites, based on polls.
Wright says the black church is invisible and misunderstood by what he called the dominant culture, meaning white America.
I said this is not an attack on Jeremiah Wright. It has nothing to do with Senator Obama. It is an attack on the black church launched by people who know nothing about the African-American religious tradition.
Yes. Author Michael Fontroy.
They know nothing about the African-American religious condition, and he is absolutely right. And that's why we had down through the years of these whites coming forth and not understanding our tradition.
Wrote his book Republicans and the Black Vote in this Washington, D.C. coffee house. He says Reverend Wright is reacting defensively by saying the criticism of his comments is an attack on the black church.
I think this is just him coming back home, realizing how much of a controversy it really was, and saying, well, you know, my guy really didn't defend me the way I think he should have, and I need to go out and do this on my own. And I think that's what this is.
Is that narcissistic?
It's human nature. You know, I think who wouldn't want to respond when they're being vilified all over the country?
Is that narcissistic? What kind of question
Fontroy
is that?
adds that Obama's connection to Wright might not affect his chances to win the Democratic Party's nomination, but he could be burned in the general election in November. Meanwhile, on Monday, Obama was campaigning in North Carolina, which holds its primary on May 6th. He made no mention about his former pastor's most recent remarks. Carolyn Presutti, VOA News.
So she asked the white woman, the newscaster, is it narcissistic? Who wouldn't defend themselves? Why would you call it narcissistic? That's ridiculous. Then what happened was, well, let's go to Barack Obama's speech, all right? If Donnie, this whole purpose of this show right here, if Donnie had said these racist overtones, because those of you who love Trump and who loves that whole spectrum there, said why are y'all calling him a racist? Here's what I think that's happening on the earth. For those of you who are in the comment section, who He's trying to figure out, okay, he must be a leftist because he's going against my guy. All right. I did the leftist show last week, and y'all didn't say none of that. Y'all like, yeah, he definitely don't sound democratic, like a Democrat. But now he's doing Trump. Oh, he's left. I think what's happening here with you all is a strong delusion has hit the earth. And the wind blew and came into America and sat within the Christian home. That delusion is in the mindset of millions here. And you don't know that you're under delusion. You understand? And you are likened to a person who has been turned over to a reprobate mind. Many of you who loves to fight me over these historical truths, you sound like a person who's been turned over to a reprobate that you don't even know the difference between what's right, what's wrong. You don't even know the truth. So you spend a lot of time trying to defend something that makes no sense because the way of a transgressor is hard. So you are such a transgressor. You're under such a strong delusion that you're walking around thinking that everything is okay. You're the only right. And this is what sets up the Trump rallies the way it does. When he went down that escalator and he mounted that microphone, he spoke to the fears of racists and bigots. He spoke to the fears of racists and bigots. He did the same thing Hitler did when Germany was falling apart and they had to, their monies was worth nothing. The German mark, it was just worth nothing. They had to burn it for firewood. And he spoke to the fears of those people against other nations. It's Germany and no one else. Trump, it's America and no one else. There was a sign behind Mussolini that says Mussolini is always right. That same sign was behind Trump last week. Trump is always right. He spoke to the fears of the people. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists. And he spoke to their fears, and it didn't matter what he said or did after that. They said, this is our guy. It doesn't matter about any other policies and anything. This is our guy. And Hitler came to power because he said the exact same words, and they said, this is our guy. And it doesn't matter that he's murdering. Here's the thing. What happened was Hitler put a ban on people who are shopping at Jewish stores. So they put the stormtroopers marched throughout the Jewish towns and neighborhoods, and they blocked the stores. And the people was like, "What's going on? I can get a good deal at this store here. These Jewish stores, what have you." And they was like, "No, you can't. You can't." This was the initial test of getting them to the gas chambers. And the people of Germany was confused by it, but they said, but we've got to listen to Hitler because he sounds like someone who can restore the might of German, at least in the Second Reich, to the point where they got so used to Hitler that everything Hitler said, they obeyed. They became robots. And this is a mental state that all humans can be up under. And you all of us was raised up in religiosities. Our pastor, whatever he said, we took it as law. It became herd mentality. It became, thank you, Alfred, tribalism. And the dog whistle and the red herrings, all right, and the gas, lighting, what have you. What we see on that side is take this word and replace it because they up on us. They know what's going on. So take this phrase and replace it with something else. Planned Parenthood sounds better than eugenics because they knew what eugenics was. And Hitler was able to come to power and do the things he did by coming over here and studying America. He studied our way of eugenics. He studied our way of Jim Crowism, all right? We studied his way, their whole Autobahn. The reason why we have the interstate expressways in the United States is because of the Autobahn. You understand? So we borrow from one another. So you have to change the phrasing. States' rights is a dog whistle. And thugs is the N-word. You have to change the phraseologies, all right? Patriotism is white evangelical. And evangelical became less of a religious sect and more of a political sect. You understand? And so when you don't understand history, you definitely are doomed to repeat it. So history keeps rhyming with itself. And you are under a strong delusion and you don't know it. And this is why you all deflect and say, yeah, but Walter, look at that shirt you're wearing. Look at your nose. You got gray hair. You got hair in your nose and all, or something. You're going to find something on the picture there to deflect or change because you're feeling ouchy. And so you turn to a little child who say, your mama. Somebody come to you with something intelligent and tell you, listen, the tea leaves are out here. Count the tea leaves. I'm trying to show you something that you can't see. You're walking down the street, you get ready to fall down a hole, and you're like, no, I know what I'm doing. And you are heading for self-destruction. But all you're doing in response is your mama. And you can't see it. So politics have turned into that. So Kamala Harris, a person whom I will not vote for, sounds like the smart person or the adult in the room. No matter her policies. No matter. And for those who are voting Democrat only and feeling the pain of other people going against y'all only because of homosexuality and abortion, with all those other things that is facing you, those two things, known as Donnie Swaggart brought up those two things more so than he did anything. 99% of his content was on those two things. Those two things. He's a hypocrite because if we had looked at his party and the guy that he's pushing, we would see so much more than the two things that the Republicans often bring up: abortion and homosexuality. So when I did the Donnie show, I showed y'all that Trump was iffy on abortion. He's iffy. Today, he's for. Yesterday, he's not. Tomorrow, he's, he's only speaking and trying to please the people. As far as homosexuality is concerned, he uses them. He brings them to the rally. He allows them to speak on the microphone. So Donnie is speaking against his dear leader. But here's the thing about abortion when it comes to the people who are on the right, who speaks against it. You don't want a woman to kill her baby in the womb. She shouldn't do it. I've always spoke against it. No matter who y'all listening to, I've always spoke against abortion, always. But here's the thing about the right, the conservatives who are fighting against it, is that when that baby is born, guess what happens? That baby is ignored. And that baby could grow up to be a teenager and walk down a white neighborhood and they're going to call the cops, or this kid going to get shot or something. See, they care about the baby in the womb, but they could give two dead flies when the baby is born. And so this is the problem with the hypocrisy when people try to support somebody. They support somebody because they're doing it because for personal self-grandizing reasons. He's going to give me the things that I want. I could care less about everything else that he's doing, but give me these two things because you are giving in to my feelings, nothing more than feelings. So you all are up under a strong delusion. Here's the thing. You don't even know it. So Kamala Harris sounds like the smart person in the room. Even though she gets up there and say reproductive rights, that right there, it's a whistle. It's a whistle. And some of you have felt for it. Some of you have felt for it. Now, some of these comments are so dumb that I can't put them on the screen. I can't. Because the comments are delusional. And if I spend too much time on delusional comments, I'll be here for 3 hours. I mean, some of them are absolutely dumb. I'm reading the comments. Some of them are extremely dumb. So Barack Obama responds to his pastor, Jeremiah Wright, who says something about America going over there and raping and pillaging or what have you, and they're coming home to roost, God damned America, what have you. He had to respond as a politician. And I don't know any politician today who could effectively do what Barack Obama did all those years ago. Because his campaign was on the line. And for those of you who think I'm an Obama guy, I'm for a guy who speaks at least intelligently. And then I will rebuke him when he's not. Obama ran, and he's from here. I met him and sat at Jeremiah Church with him in the room. He was in the front row while I was there at that church. He was a senator here in Chicago. But when he ran for the presidency of the United States, I didn't vote for him. And when he ran again 4 years later, I still didn't vote for him. You see, because I like to be fair and balanced. I don't care what y'all are saying about me. I like to be fair and balanced. And I'm going to stand on something. I don't care how much I may like a guy. I may not like him to the point where I trust him with my finances. I can't trust him with world affairs. I'm not going to just vote for my best friend because he's my best friend. So I'm going to put him in a position that he can't handle. So you all voted for a president. In 2016, you voted for a man who had no political experience because he was an outsider. If you ran a company, you would never push the outsider spin by hiring somebody. You would never say, now we are a multi-million-dollar company and we're looking for the COO. We're going to find somebody on the outside who knows nothing about operations, who knows nothing about finance, who knows nothing about business. He knew nothing, can't even set up an LLC. We know nothing. He knows nothing. We're going to hire that guy for our company. I don't know no smart man that would hire an outsider who knows nothing about the company and hire him for such a high position as a COO or a CEO or CFO. I don't know anybody with any kind of intelligence that would do that other than the American people. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crap. Ooh, let's put him in the most powerful seat in the world. And they hired an outsider, a businessman, and he came in there and sat in that seat for 4 years, and thousands of people died. And it shook up the other nations around the world, and they looked at us they was laughing at us. We were a laughing stock because they was like, you all hired baby Huey to be the president of the United States. Y'all got a baby sitting there. And the things that he was saying, and then God allowed a pestilence to hit us called the pandemic, and he would get on that microphone and tell you all to drink bleach. Hit them right here, and and I mean the things that he was saying was astounding, and the doctors was over there in the corner were like, "Holy cow! You all hired a baby for a CEO position." Couldn't quote not one portion of the Constitution, Beatrice, not one portion, but you hired him. Nobody does that but the American people. And here's the thing. 4 years later, you want him back. Why? Because he did a couple things for you at the cost of many people dying. He gave you a check and you said, that's our guy. So Barack Obama responds to his pastor in such a political yet brilliant way. And I remember watching this live and I said, I was almost persuaded.
Survived the Depression to serve.
I was almost persuaded. Let's watch this together, shall we? The rest of y'all can go, because y'all just over here just typing stuff. This is March 1808.
I'm the son of a black man from Kenya and a white woman from Kansas. I was raised with the help of a white grandfather who survived the Depression to serve in Patton's army during World War II, and a white grandmother who worked on a bomber assembly line at Fort Leavenworth while he was overseas. I've gone to some of the best schools in America, and I've lived in one of the world's poorest nations. I am married to a black American who carries within her the blood of slaves and slave owners, an inheritance we pass on to our two precious daughters. I have brothers, sisters, nieces, nephews, uncles, and cousins of every race and every hue scattered across 3 continents. And for as long as I live, I will never forget that in no other country on earth is my story even possible. And this helps explain perhaps my relationship with Reverend Wright. As imperfect as he may be, he has been like family to me. He strengthens my faith, officiated my wedding, and baptized my children. Not once in my conversations with him have I heard him talk about any ethnic group in derogatory terms, or treat whites with whom he interacted with anything but courtesy and respect. He contains within him the contradictions, the good and the bad, of the community that he has served diligently for so many years.
Brilliant line. It contains in him is the contradictions of our human struggle. Brilliant. Instead of tearing the man down, at the same time, instead of lifting him up, he says, this man is living like myself with contradictions. It's a brilliant speech.
I can no more disown him than I can disown the black community. I can no more disown him than I can disown my white grandmother, a woman who helped raise me, a woman who sacrificed again and again for me, a woman who loves me as much as she loves anything in this world, but a woman who once confessed her fear of black men who passed her by on the street, and who on more than one occasion has uttered racial or ethnic stereotypes that made me cringe. These people are part of me, and they are part of America, this country that I love. Now, some will see this as an attempt to justify or excuse comments that are simply inexcusable. I can assure you it is not. And I suppose the politically safe thing to do would be to move on from this episode and just hope that it fades into the woodwork. We can dismiss Reverend Wright as a crank or a demagogue, just as some have dismissed Geraldine Ferraro in the aftermath of her recent statements as harboring some deep-seated bias. But race is an issue that I believe this nation cannot afford to ignore right now.
Mm-hmm.
We would be making the same mistake that Reverend Wright made in his offending sermons about America.
He said it was a mistake.
Simplify and stereotype and amplify the negative to the point that it distorts reality. The fact is that the comments that have been made and the issues that have surfaced over the last few weeks reflect the complexities of race in this country that we've never really worked through. A part of our union that we have not yet made perfect. And if we walk away now, if we simply retreat into our respective corners, we will never be able to come together and solve challenges like healthcare or education or the need to find good jobs for every American. Ironically, this quintessentially American and, yes, conservative notion of self-help found frequent expression in Reverend Wright's sermons. But what my former pastor too often failed to understand is that embarking on a program of self-help also requires a belief that society can change. The profound mistake of Reverend Wright's sermons is not that he spoke about racism in our society. It's that he spoke as if our society was static, as if no progress had been made, as if this country, a country that has made it possible for one of his own members to run for the highest office in the land and build a coalition of white and black, Latino, Asian, rich, poor, young, and old, is still irrevocably bound to a tragic past.
It's bound to a tragic past. This is why I love this speech so well, because, number one, he knew as a politician what to say to both sides. And I believe it was well balanced. It was fair and balanced. He disowned his former pastor, rhetoric. He agreed with some of it and disagreed. But as a man who sits in that office, an executive office, you cannot agree with anything that is said against America in the negative. You know who does that, though? Donald Trump. No president has ever done this before that we know of in recent history, who was a president and now he's not a president. All of them try to speak well about America, but Trump just last week said that the United States is a dumping ground. Now, even if his statement is correct, as the president of the United States or as a CEO of a corporation, you never speak down about the corporation because there are stockholders. And you are biting the hand that feeds you. So Trump goes on these rallies and speak negative about America. Oh, we're losing. We're losing this, and we're horrible. We're just bad. And we're dumping, or we're toilet. Every time he opens his mouth, he speaks negative about America. But I'm going to make it greater. I'm going to make it better. That is fascism at its best. Now, somebody asked me, did I rebuke Barack Obama? First of all, did you hear me when I said I didn't have to rebuke him? I didn't vote for the man. That was the open rebuke right there. I didn't vote for him. But to answer your question, when he decided to turn the White House, he made it the gay colors that day. Everybody was alive when he did that. Remember that? I did a show speaking against it. The gay colors was there. And back then, I wasn't really doing thumbnails back there. I did a show to rebuke him on it. But again, those of you who are new to the show, this is your first time watching, it's best that you say nothing because you don't know me. It's best to just don't say nothing, just listen to the content and let the bunkers educate you on who I am. Now, if I say something you disagree with, say something that you disagree with. But character assassination without knowing who I am is a whole nother ball game. Whole nother ball game. Now I know that. Let me look at now. Listen to what this other brilliant man said, Michael Eric Dyson. I don't agree with his politics. I don't agree with the, what's this thing, this social gospel, black liberation gospel. I don't agree with none of that mess. None of it. But what he said here about Obama was pretty good. I'm going to share it with y'all.
I'm curious about your description of Dr. Martin Luther King and Reverend Wright, because I do believe that in this environment, when you particularly spoke about the role of the church and how we just massacred Dr. Wright for taking on that role, and would you elaborate on that? Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, let me give full disclosure. I was a member of that church for 3 years. So I know Reverend Wright extremely well and listened to his great and prophetic preaching then, as I was a fan of it before I joined that church, and was a member there with Barack Obama, and I've known Barack Obama since 91. So I know both of these men, and they're extraordinarily gifted and capable men. The tragic circumstance that obtained was that Senator Obama was forced and Reverend Wright was squeezed into an artificial either-or position.
Yes, forced and squeezed.
The reality is that Senator Obama completely understands that prophets have particular roles and politicians have others. Remember right before the South Carolina debate, when before the primary, during the debate there, and Wolf Blitzer asked Senator Obama, as he did the other candidates, tell us why Martin Luther King Jr. would support you and endorse your candidacy. And Senator Obama said he wouldn't. He said he wouldn't endorse any of us. He would get the American people instead to hold us accountable, because change happens from the bottom up, not the top down. Certainly, Senator Obama was wise enough and prescient enough, and then, of course, commonsensically enough. He understood that he was a politician and that the prophets would criticize him too. Yeah. So I don't think that that was a problem for him. The problem was that with the constant and relentless repetition of snippets and sound bites from Reverend Wright's sermonic fare, and you can make anybody look crazy. Mm-hmm. If you just take the crazy part. You could take this speech I gave today, I'm sure.
You can make anybody look crazy. All of y'all was sending me Seiko Woods' show and telling me watch it. I didn't watch that. I saw it was over 3 hours long. And they said he pieced my piece by piece. You can take these clips and it's, I give everybody the right to lie on a person. You have every right. This is America. I said what they say, love it or leave it. I agree with the First Amendment. So you can piece whatever you want to. And the bunkers were concerned. And I told y'all, come on now. Y'all know I fear nothing and no one. And I can defend myself. And in many cases, in most cases, I defend myself by saying nothing. You see, you don't have to answer all foolish stuff. Notice how I said that. You don't have to answer all foolish stuff. All right. It started on Facebook, and when Seiko posts when he tags me on Facebook, it don't hit my wall. It don't. It goes over there for me to allow it to post. So I saw it, and I just had a great time with Seiko over there, and I baited him. He took the bait. He did a 3-hour show last night, and my numbers went up. So that Donnie show is about 29,000 views plus many subscribers. So I take what the devil means for bad and God uses for good. He paid a few of my bills this week.
Make me look real crazy. Now, the fact that I am crazy is irrelevant. The point is that it didn't have to manifest itself through those particular snippets. So the constant looping on YouTube presented a portrait of Reverend Wright as a crazy man. Now, when most black folk heard it, let's be real, we went, okay, because I said, oh my God, what did Reverend Wright say? Mess up my man, Obama, man. Now, I'm not, my own particular bias is coming out here, as it obviously didn't before. So I said, man, what did he do? Don't mess up my man. Then I heard what he said. I said, oh, well, what was the messed up part? I'm trying to get to what he say.
Right. You heard that? You're like, what did Jeremiah Wright say that was so bad? And he listened. He said, wait, what was wrong with that? He was correct.
Right? Now, you know, whether most black folk gonna say it in public or not, the reality is, we was like, what? Rich white people run America. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's a lie. Yeah, it's the middle class white people. They're running this country. I mean, what did the bailout tell you? Do we need, point taken. Jeremiah Wright, number one, he won. Because there's a bunch of guys on Wall Street, mostly guys, not just Wall Street, we know it's bigger than that. But I mean, this country's in a mess right now. And it ain't the black CEOs that are messing it up, even though they can participate in it. The point is that for the history of this country, what Jeremiah Wright said about that was right. Now, even if you disagree with him about AIDS and AIDS being created in a laboratory somewhere to destroy black people, well, the last prominent black person that believed that was a man named Bill Cosby.
That's right.
And he said so.
He sure did.
Right? It's very interesting. That's one of the silences about Dr. Cosby, and most folk don't remember.
Yes, sir.
Cosby got in a little bit of trouble. He said that this is what was invented to destroy people. Ain't nobody denying Bill Cosby's bona fides as an American transracial figure. So the point is, black people are skeptical. People think we're skeptical of science. No, we're not. We're skeptical of scientists.
That's good. We're skeptical of scientists. Bill Cosby got away with that until he didn't. It's good, man. I don't always agree with this man, but he's right.
We ain't suspicious of science. We're suspicious of what people do with it, right? The Tuskegee experiment just reminded us, oh, that could never happen here. So, and then when most white folk hear that, they go, oh, okay, that makes sense. I mean, see, when you lay it out there, for most white brothers and sisters, among many others, they go, oh, okay, that does make sense. If you live in a community where that has occurred, we can dig that. And so when we heard what Reverend Wright said, it wasn't a problem, but then Barack Obama was forced to respond unfairly. Isn't that something? Does he have to respond to every black person that messes up or does something wrong? Let's get Obama.
That's right. Donnie Swaggart baited the black community, and all of us took the bait, including myself. We all took the bait, but here's the thing. I had to go live because everybody else was shoving this at me, wanting an answer. What do we do? How can he? So I had to do it in my own special way, and I couldn't finish my point because the video got I got a little copyright issue, and the video ended. Y'all watched it, and the video ended. I had to go back and do an update to try and finish what I was getting ready to say, but I lost my train of thought. So my update, I didn't really say what I wanted to say in the first video because I got so thrown off. But I was going to bring up some of his talking points. We all took the bait, but why? And should we not take any bait? Some baits you may have to take so to explain someone's folly. Kamala threw a bait at Donald Trump during that little debate. She said, and look at his rallies. She threw that bait at him. He took it. What did he say? They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Blah, blah, blah. She kept throwing some carrots out there, and he kept taking the bait. And then what did she use that for? She used that for her campaign, her commercials, and her PSAs and what have you. She used those bits. It was perfect. It was perfect. So some people, you have to respond to settle the noise. And other people, like again last night, no. Some of y'all were saying, well, do a response show. For what? For what? I am a preacher, a teacher. And some of you might probably saying, well, you responding now. Yeah, I did. But I'm not going to do a whole show on foolishness like that. I'm not going to do it. After today, I'm going to go back to my unplugged, go back to teaching on the scriptures. I'm going to go back to, on relationships and finances. We're going to go back to hanging out at Patreon. We are well-rounded over here, and the bunker community is one of the strongest communities in America, the bunkers, because they get everything from the Sirwalterj show. Everything. If you go over to some content creators, they're going to talk about one thing and that one thing only. And your total man is not fed. It's not. You go over there for something salacious and something that's been uncovered, something like that, and the rest of your life can't be fed. So we have a small community because these are a community of thinkers and movers and shakers and theologians. And we talk about everything that affects Christianity, our lives and our children's, our posterity, generational wealth. All right? And so many of you only come here when we talk about something that is trending, but you don't come over here when we talk about other things that actually affect your life. You see, Donnie don't affect you, but finances do. So we talk about finances. Donnie don't affect you, but relationship with your wife and your husband do. So we talk about that. We talk about singlehood. Donnie don't affect you, whatever he said. But you having a son or a daughter affect you. We talk about that over here. You understand? So while you all are chasing and wasting your everyday looking for crapola, over here in the bunker community, we talk about everything to strengthen one another. When those who are sick here, we pray, we intercede, we fast, we support through our finances. We are a strong community, and many people are jealous of that. Many content creators who've got 200,000 and 300,000 subscribers, they're jealous of our small community because they don't have that kind of camaraderie that we have. We did Zoom sessions. We used to do them every Monday or every Tuesday for a couple of years. We build on one another. We strengthen one another. And we cried with those who cried. We wept with those who wept. And we laughed with those who laughed. That is this community. For those of you who are new to this community, welcome. Because this is what we do over here.
Today, a black kid said something wrong in 5th grade. What do you think, Senator Obama? Are you serious? This guy has to respond to everything, and then he feels compelled to respond, but it was his pastor, so we know the difference. And so I think that on the one hand, he's in a tough situation because he has to explain, and he did the first time in Philadelphia. He did a brilliant job, and I'll end by saying this. He did a brilliant job. He said, look, I can't no more diss my pastor. Those are my words. He's much more elegant in public. So he said, he's a show enough brother. So what's interesting, he said that I can no more diss my pastor than I can diss my grandma. Now he was saying to us out there, my grandmother had said some things that taken out of context and even in context were pretty problematic. I'm not going to disown her, I'm not going to disown my pastor. So black people have to deal not with the serial nature of truth, S-E-R-I-A-L, but the simultaneous nature of truth. Stuff be true at the same time that appears to be contradictory. That's the nature of living on the cutting edge of race in America. So I think that Senator Obama had no choice at certain levels when Reverend Wright stood up at the press club and made his views known, which was very brave. Senator Obama then had to respond to that out of the context that I'm not trying to run the black division of the record company, I'm trying to run the entire record company. Yeah. Therefore, these views I find offensive. Those are legit.
That's good. I'm trying to run the whole company. I'm not trying to just run some division of the company. I am the president of the United States, and I'm running the whole company. Y'all get it? Is any of this making sense to any of y'all? If it's not, I'm sorry to tell you I can't help you. So I don't worry about what anybody is going to say about me. I don't sit up all night wondering, what are they saying about Sirwalterj Jones? I slept sound last night. It did not matter. And I know that young man, when he goes ham, goes after somebody, he does many, many shows. When he went after Corey, he was after Corey for 3-4 months. And this is what he does. And so what I do is, instead of trying to pay attention to all that mess, I wake up in the morning and look at the stock market reports. I wake up in the morning and I kiss my grandbabies and my daughter. I play with them on the floor. I eat if I can get to breakfast, I eat breakfast. If not, I'll just eat lunch. And I check my emails. I garbage any emails that from certain people. If I see their name, I just put it right in the garbage because I know they don't mean nothing but good. I just throw it right in the garbage. Don't even read the mail. I just throw it in the garbage. Okay? And I whatsoever thing that is good, that is just, that is honest, that is of a good report. Okay? I put all that in my system. I read the scriptures. I put all that in my system. I might make a phone call just to check on somebody who may need something. I put that all in my system. You understand what I'm saying? So I do these things to help build me up physically, mentally, spiritually, morally, all these. And then I go live. Boop. And I talk to you all in the cool of the day. You understand? And then we might go live at night, well, pre-record, maybe an unplugged, and just to say hi. And then we're good for the day. If you're spending so much time watching videos about a man trying to tear up another man's ministry, no matter how much you agree or disagree, you then have to ask yourself at the end of the week, how much time did you put into generational wealth? Did you even check your temperature this week? Did you check your heart rate this week? Did you call grandmama this week? And what about your children? They're going through stuff. Did you check up on them to see how they're doing? Did you do any of that? Instead of binge watching some sleazy magazine, the Inquirer of our day. Did you build yourself up spiritually this week? Did you? If you say you didn't do that, then it's time for you to turn off the noise. We have a birthday. Who is it? It's Shirley Johnson's birthday. She thought I forgot, but I ain't forgot. Shirley Johnson. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. It was yesterday. Happy birthday to you. It's Shirley Johnson's birthday, y'all. It was actually yesterday, and we want to, y'all go ahead and give her a shout out. Happy birthday to you, Shirley Johnson. We thank God for you and your support of the Sirwalterj Jones show. You have been absolutely spectacular. You've shown the grace of God every time I see, whether it's an email or whether you're in the comment section. You've shown so many people how much you love God and you love family. This is a wonderful community, and it's because of you, Shirley, we are who we are. I am because we are. Well, you can say the same thing. They're shouting happy birthday to you in the comment section. Shirley, I don't know where you at, but when you get back over here, check the comments. All right. All right, y'all, let me go and take care of my belly. Yes, the Bible says to be quick to hear and slow to speak, to wrath. God is not the author of confusion. Yeah, politicians are like money. It is the root of evil. That's why I don't vote. She's Adeline. Okay. Well, the love of money is the root of all evil. But I know where you were going. I vote. Matter of fact, I'm getting ready to do something today because our polls did open last week for early voting, or you could do mail-in. I will be doing my typical write-in and then going over the Republican side and see who I can find. And I'm going to go over the Democratic side and see who I can find, because I vote across the wire because I'm not part of the herd mentality. There's Shirley. Shirley said thank you, y'all. There she is. There she is. All right. So if you're seeing stuff, and just say, well, praise God. The scripture says, woe to you when all men speak well of you. If I didn't have anybody hating on me, there would be a problem. There would be a problem. I'm so glad that people hate my content. I'm glad that they hate me. I'm glad, because I must be doing something right. Something right. You brothers out there who you've got a beautiful woman and you walking her down the street and the men are whistling at her, don't be upset with the men who are whistling, doing these little calls with your woman, to your woman, what have you. Because if they did not do it, if they wasn't interested, then you want people to be interested. That's why they call them an arm piece. You want them to whistle. Woo, I got a fine woman. That's what you want to say. My woman's so fine. When she walk down the street, the men just can't hold themselves. They whistling at my woman. That's what you want. A man who know that he got her and vice versa, he like, go on whistle. Matter of fact, take a picture. It'll last longer. All right. So if people ain't talking negative about me, Buckles, y'all ain't got nobody. Who am I if ain't nobody going after me? Persecution's supposed to come. We thank God for that, because God takes that persecution and he makes a nice lemon meringue pie out of it. I like lemon meringue. He makes lemon meringue pie out of that. All right, and it tastes so good. All right. All right, Maria said, our pastors stay in trouble. Good trouble. All right, y'all. I think myself and Corey Minor and Damon Richardson and maybe somebody else will be doing a live this Wednesday, which is the day after tomorrow. I believe it's still scheduled. What time? I don't know, but I'm sure they'll be calling me and trying to figure it out. And we're going to talk about this election, try to be as fair and as balanced as possible. I'm going to rebuke Damon and Corey in their faces. And then we're going to shut it down and I'm going to go do something else with my life, all right? This Wednesday, all right? If you see a thumbnail on my page and his page, you'll know that it's going on, okay? Y'all take care of yourselves. God, thank you for your presence, your blood, and your love. This is the portion here where people leave. And this is the portion here, the prayer time, where other content creators won't do, maybe because they can't do, maybe because the content is so salacious, they don't know how to pray. But we pray at the end of all our shows to show you, oh God, that we love you. And we pray and intercede for the people who are here. Those who don't like my content, who disagree with me, I pray for wisdom and understanding and knowledge to overtake them in their homes. And God, I want you to bless them to the point where they can understand that it was you who blessed them and that they would turn and follow you. Help us, God, to understand what's going on around us and not get so inundated with mess. God, help us, keep us out of the mess. Help to bridle our tongues, to keep us spiritually healthy so that we can do the great commission in which the church has forgotten. Go ye therefore and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And yes, all of that equals Jesus' name. I love y'all. Take care of yourselves. See you again, maybe tonight for an unplug if I got some time. Okay? Go to patreon.com, Sirwalterj Jones Show.
4 Women That Men Desire by Sirwalterj is a women's guide to men. The authors endeavor to expose men fundamentally with his perspective on the types of women that men truly desire. He has meticulously penned a brilliant and controversial read, bold in its assertion that all women fall into one of 4 categories. Girl A, the side chick. Girl B, the mistress. Girl C, his soulmate. Or Girl D, his fatal attraction. And when a woman walks into a room, her category is showing. The 4 Women That Men Desire is funny, informative, and enlightening. It is a quick read and a must-have for your library. Head over to Amazon.com for your copy.